Hello, my most amazing artist. Today we're going to be making landscape paintings. Do y'all know what a landscape is? How did y'all know? How are y'all so smart? Okay, so today we're going to be making landscape drawing. And instead of just drawing the land, we're going to add some oomph to it. And we're going to do a pumpkin patch, a night scene pumpkin patch. So we've got a lot going on. This project is probably going to take us 2 weeks. And we're going to be talking about the following elements of art. See if y'all can see that. Line, space, value, and color, baby, color. Everyone's favorite. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you what we're going to start with. Everyone's going to need 9 pumpkins. That's a lot. But if you go to a pumpkin patch, there's lots of pumpkins there. So we want our landscape drawing to be believable. So we're going to have lots of pumpkins. Before you begin drawing, be sure you write your name on the back of your paper. That's your first step. And I'm also going to pass out some practice paper. So while you're watching the video, you can practice drawing some pumpkins on your practice paper before you get your black paper. When you finish, it will look like this. So I can't wait to get started. We probably won't finish until the end of next class. Okay, so here's my paper. Remember, your paper is going to be black, and you're going to be using a pencil, and you'll be able to see your pencil lines just slightly. They won't be really bright, but I'm showing you on a white sheet of paper so that you can see what I'm doing. So, the first thing we are going to do is draw where the sky meets the ground, and this is called the horizon line. Yours can be straight across. You can give yours hills. So I think I'm going to give mine a few little hills. Okay, so up here is the sky and down here is my pumpkin patch. So your line should go all the way across. The second thing we're going to do is add a moon, okay, because we're doing a night scene. So you can add your moon anywhere up here. It could go off the page. You could add a crescent moon, like that. However you want to add your moon, you can add your moon. Now, down here, we're going to do our pumpkins, and we need to talk about space and shape, because when we're drawing a landscape, when things are close to us, this down here is called the foreground. It's what's closest to us. It's what we see the most of. This is the middle ground, and this is kind of the background. Everything in the foreground is going to be big. So you guys are going to be putting 9 pumpkins in here. So your pumpkins get smaller as they go back into space. Because if you think about looking at something off in the distance, things look smaller when they're far away from you. So in art, if you're trying to draw something that's believable, you have to draw things smaller. So let me show you an example. So down here, I'm going to draw a pumpkin. So let's talk lines. I'm going to draw a straight line, a C, a backward C, and another C, and another backward C. And then we'll give that guy a stem. It's kind of like a rectangle. All right. Now I'm going to draw another pumpkin. Backward C, forward C, forward C. And oh goodness, this one can't fit, but that's okay. It overlaps, so look, it just goes behind that one. All right, and I need to draw one more pumpkin. So I'm going to draw this guy up here. Again, he's going to overlap. So my line kind of gets, so backwards C and backwards C. So sometimes all of my lines don't show up because see, these go behind this guy. I'm going to erase that because this pumpkin is behind this pumpkin. Okay, as I go back into space though, my pumpkins have to get smaller. So now my center line is not going to be quite as big. So doing my C's forwards and backwards. Do another one here. That one was a little bit big. Do another one here. Be sure I'm doing my C's. And pumpkins kind of have these humps in them. So be sure you're doing some little humps. All right, so that's 3 pumpkins, but I need 9. So now my last 3 pumpkins are going to be tiny. Okay, so a little line. And a little line. And they don't have to be perfect, just make them cute. So now doesn't it look like these are closer to us and these are further away? All right, now all that's left to do is color, baby, color. So I'm going to show you how to do that on the black paper because we'll be using oil pastels to color in. Our pumpkins are going to have value. Our moon right here is shining light down on the pumpkins. So the top of your pumpkin needs to be lighter than the bottom of your pumpkin. So I will show you that in just a moment. Okay guys, so you can see that now I've drawn this on my black paper and I'm starting to color in. But what I've done, I've colored the moon in yellow and I've also started outlining these pumpkins because it makes it easier for me to color in neatly. So I also start at the top so that my hand is not smudging through them. So I start at the top outlining them. So I am just going to finish outlining these and then color in all of the grass of my pumpkin patch. And then I'm going to show you what to do next. But outline your pumpkins in green and color in the background. Alright guys, as you can see, I've started coloring in the green. I'm almost finished, and I want you to notice this little bitty oil pastel. My oil pastel broke, and so instead of just not using this, just pinch it in your fingers and use this. Also, I've tried to make my ground look like grass, so I'm coloring up and down because grass grows up and down. So it makes sense. I'm just coloring up and down, back and forth. And if a little bit of the black paper shows through, that's totally fine. Because remember, this is a night scene. So it will look even more like grass. And it'll have some value, some darker value to it. We're going to also add some value. So you can take like a blue and underneath the pumpkin, you might add some blue. Now, if you can't get your oil pastel to color, sometimes you have to peel the paper a little bit. Okay, so just peel the paper. And then I'm going to put just a little bit of blue underneath each one of my pumpkins. It's kind of like a shadow. It's really not showing up that much. So I might add some black in a minute, but I don't want to add black until the very end because I don't want it to mess my project up. So, yeah, I'm going to just stop adding blue because it's not really showing up. All right, I'm going to color my stems brown. You can see I'm doing that. And then in just a second, we're going to start coloring our pumpkins. We're going to start with a color that is not on the pumpkin itself, which is white. But if you see a pumpkin, you might notice that it has a highlight or like a glare on it, and that glare may be white. So I'm going to show you on one of the big pumpkins, and then I'm going to let you color all of yours. Okay. So I'm going to start with white. And I am just going to draw some white lines. I'm leaving a little bit of my line that needs to be black showing, like right here. As you can see, you'll see more of it as I move down the pumpkin. So that looks kind of messy, but I'm doing white. Then I'm going to do yellow. And kind of mix the yellow with the white a little bit. Okay. See how I'm leaving a little bit of that black line? That's going to be so that you can see that in a minute. Because our very last step, just like we did with the fish, we're going to outline the black line with black oil pastel. So there's my yellow. Okay. Now for orange. So I'm going to overlap my orange with my yellow. Kind of looks like candy corn. Overlapping. This is just making my pumpkin look three-dimensional. This is value. So we're going from light down to dark. What do you think my next color is going to be? You guessed red. You guessed right. Red is kind of like a darker, deeper orange. It's red. It's not orange. But it's kind of the next color that's closest to orange. So I think I'm going to bring my orange down just a bit more. And then I will add my red. Remember, if you get these oil pastel boogers, don't wipe them. Blow them so that they don't mess up your project. Alright, so now I'm adding my red. And try to show those little humps down at the bottom of my pumpkin. And when I finish all of my pumpkins, it's going to look really cool. So that's how I'm going to draw my pumpkins. White, yellow, orange, red, and kind of overlap them. So go ahead, you can color. Okay, I'm finished coloring. I also added some stars up here in the sky with a white oil pastel. You can see the black lines between my pumpkin. That's just where I'm letting the black paper show through. So my very last step is I'm going to come in with my black oil pastel and just kind of trace my pumpkins. Okay, so I'm just tracing those C lines that I drew originally, and this makes them pop out, which is the element of art emphasis. So we are emphasizing our pumpkins by using that black line at the very end. Also, remember, we tried to use blue oil pastels for the shadow down here. So if that didn't really work, you could add a little bit of black if you wanted for the shadow. I'm trying to make it look like grass. So I am just kind of pressing up and down, or I'm marking up and down. Also, don't forget about our stem. We're going to outline him. And now my pumpkins are just popping out. Now, I want to see very good value on your pumpkins. So white, yellow, orange, and red. Try to color neatly on that part because it's what is going to stand out most to the people looking at your art. So be sure that you color very neatly. It's going to take you some time to do it and concentration. Now, if you ever feel like you need to turn your paper over, you're welcome to do that. And also, if you'll remember, it's hard to color in small spaces with oil pastels. I tried to do a small pumpkin right here, and he didn't really turn out good because I couldn't color him very good. So when you draw your pumpkin, you don't want to draw your pumpkin too tiny. Okay, so I'm trying to go fast, and I really shouldn't be. See, I'm not outlining very good. So be sure you take your time. And I will hold up the finished product.